You're in Braves country.
Good morning. Welcome to Braves Country today. Finally on a good note, right? The Atlanta Braves get a walk-off victory last night with Ronald Acuna Jr.'s hard to believe first ever walk-off home run. Not that those happen that often, okay? But it's really hard to believe that it's his very first, because he's had so many dramatic moments in his career already. Chip Caray, he mentions it, and as he's mentioning it, I'm thinking to myself, wouldn't this be cool if he actually did it right now? Because I don't recall Chip Caray mentioning it while he has the ability to do it at the plate, right? And just as he's mentioning it, I mean, he absolutely tattooed that ball. For people that missed it, it was an absolute no-doubter. And the moment he hit it, you start seeing him pumping his chest, and you start seeing him doing the theatrics towards the dugout. I guess it's because people are saying that the reason why is right before that he said he was going to end it. Okay. Let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. I'm sure all the players always say that, especially Acuna with the bravado that he has. I'm sure he says it all the time because you always see him doing stuff like this, but still really cool. And you can see him basically saying, told you. And big W for the Atlanta Braves in a game. I'm telling you right now, I said it yesterday, it was a must win. If they lose that game, they fall to 5 games out of first place. Instead, they get the W. They stay within 3. It's still a fail on the actual series. You really wanted to, it needed to win the series, but not getting swept at home is huge. It's huge for your momentum going into this next series. Today, the Atlanta Braves will be beginning a 4-game series against the Pirates. Look, I said at the beginning of the week that I felt like that if we didn't go 5-2, it was going to be a little disappointing. So to do that for this week, the 7 games that are being played at home this week, we have to sweep the Pirates. That's a little much. I will take a 3 out of 4, but the first one has to start tonight. It's a big game because it's Drew Smyly, right? And Drew Smyly is going to take the mound tonight against Crow. Crow has a 4.35 ERA. That may sound like that's not too bad. Well, Smiley's got a 5.23 ERA. So what are we talking about? But Smyly has pitched well over the last couple of days. So I will say that to him. Okay. Past couple of starts, I apologize. Not days, obviously. If he pitched well the past couple of days, that'd be like breaking news. He's pitching 2 days in a row. If you look at his last couple of starts, he went 6 innings at Milwaukee with 4 Ks. Quality start, only earned 1 earned run. That's what we're looking at from him, is a quality start, right? And then, because if you look at what he was doing beforehand, it's kind of a mess. But so that's why we're sitting at such a high ERA. The start before that against Washington, it was another quality start. 6 innings, no earned runs, 4 Ks, but 4 walks. He's got to get those walks down. The one before that, that's where we were getting super concerned. 4 innings, 5 earned runs, 4 walks. You go back one more start before that, Arizona, 4 innings, 5 runs, 5 earned runs, 4 Ks, but 2 walks. He's only had the last 2 starts where he's allowed less than 5 earned runs. Not if you don't count his very first start against Washington. His first start of the year was 6 innings, 2 earned runs, a solid performance, 8 Ks. But remember, Washington was just coming off of the COVID lockdown. And so their bats were extremely asleep at that point. I'm not going to take away that great performance, but you got to put it in perspective, right? When you look at the rest of it, 5 earned runs, a game that was postponed, so it wasn't played. He pitched the next day. 5 earned runs, 3 consecutive starts of 5 earned runs. Had you really concerned that we spent 11 mil on a guy that is basically a number 7 starter at that point? You're like, good Lord, you only put him in a spot start. You don't even want him in your regular rotation. He's looked more like the Drew Smiley that they thought they were going to get the last couple of games or outings. But remember, once again, it's against Washington and Milwaukee, not the best offenses in the league. So he goes up against Pittsburgh today. That's going to be a very interesting one because Pittsburgh is not a very good offense. He should go out and dominate. And that's what you're expecting from Smiley. We'll worry about what is going on with Drew Smiley when he goes up against the bigger offenses when we get there. It's the baby steps right now. Take care of business and take care of a Pirates team who, let's be honest, is not one of the better teams in baseball. That is an understatement. When you look at the record, they're 17-25, 7.5 games out of first place in the National League Central. Not only should we be looking to win this game, we should also be looking to see what do the Pirates have that they may trade away at the deadline. As far as the bullpen, I'm going to be looking for now on when we watch these games. I'm going to be looking for guys that we may want to make a move for with teams that are not in it and where they're at in their contract control. So Pittsburgh tonight, if it's anything less than 3 out of 4, it's going to be a disappointment. If you split a series at home with the Pittsburgh Pirates, who, by the way, they're on a 3-game losing streak, got demolished essentially by the St. Louis Cardinals, a team that a lot of people had a lot of questions about. Of course, we all know that they're coming in our schedule, and we usually have quite the dogfights with the Cardinals. The Cardinals did what they were supposed to do. Hammer the Pirates. You can't let them get off the schneid. You've got to continue their losing streak. You give a young team like the Pirates a W, you never know. You give them a little breathing room, a little confidence, and the next thing you know, where you're looking at, we're trying not to get swept. So the W has got to come tonight. Let's be honest about last night's game, y'all. It was great. It was a great victory. It was fun. But if you look at the actual breakdown of what really happened, what actually happened in the game was, first of all, Atlanta got a very incredible performance and a long overdue performance by Charlie Morton. 1 earned run, 8 strikeouts, 6 innings. He could have went another inning or 2. Now, the first thing that everyone messaged me about that they wanted me to address, and I get it, in the bottom of the 6th inning, Charlie had just pitched 6 innings. He was at about 80, 85 pitches, and he's pulled for a pinch hitter with 2 outs. They put Sandoval in there. And the consensus was, and of course, everybody, hindsight's 2020. When it's actually happening, you're hoping for the best, but you're also thinking, man, if he doesn't get a hit here, you're relying on this terrible bullpen to get 3 consecutive innings of essentially shutout baseball, which we all know did not happen. That concerned me. Sandoval roped that ball down the third base line. It was just right at the third baseman. It was a solid hit. Obviously, that's the pinch hitter you want in that situation because the bases are juiced, and if he hits that just a little to the left, He's clearing the bases with the double. So you don't hate the choice of the pinch hit. It just didn't work out. Baseball's a hard game. We get that. But at that moment, should you have kept Charlie Morton in because he was pitching so well? At the time, I was thinking to myself, yes, and you save Panda for a pinch hit later in the game, which, by the way, they could have used at the bottom of the 8th. That's neither here nor there. I understood what Snitker was doing. Morton had pitched really well. He'd given him 6 solid. And I think he's thinking, A, I have a chance to break this wide open, and B, I give Morton a lot of confidence going into his next start if I pull him right now. If you put him back out there, Frank Coors said something to the effect of, if he goes out and gives up 1 hit, are you going to go grab him? I don't think you do. Would I have done what Snitker did there? No, but I also don't think it's the most outrageous move. It's a little bit of a head scratcher considering the fact that when you go back out into the 7th inning, Minter goes out. He gives you 2 bam outs. And then the 3rd should have been out, reaches on a wild pitch. He can't get that out of his mind. He ends up giving up the lead, essentially. But here's my thing. If you're going to pull Morton, at that point, it's got to be, because at the time the score was 3-1, right? If you're going to pull Morton in the bottom of the 6th, you go into the 7th, shouldn't you have all your bullets blazing? Minter gets in trouble. We still are leading the game. He goes out and brings in Luke freaking Jackson in a high leverage situation, which is asinine. Why wasn't that Chris Martin's move? It should have been Chris Martin. He brings in Jackson, gives up the lead. Braves come back and score. Then Smith comes out there. I'm sure I pissed some people off on Twitter because I said, hey, it's our closer up, but I put the C in parentheses. If it's our loser, sure enough, he gives up a freaking run. And we are fortunate. I'm sorry, he didn't give up a run. He almost gave up a run. We were fortunate to get out of that mess. Excuse me. We're fortunate to get out of that mess because they were threatening in the top of the 9th with a man on 3rd and 1 out. 2 very fortunate pop-ups. I'll give Smith his due. But at the same token, that was a really shaky outing. He ends up getting the W, but Charlie Morton should have gotten the W. Then they lead off the bottom of the 9th, and it's a walk-off home run. And away we go. That's, by the way, that's Smith's first W. He was 0-4 going into that. So that's what I was referring to. Smith has a 4.5 ERA, and he's our closer. That's ridiculous. And 9 times out of 10, when he does come in, if he does get a save, there's usually trouble a brewing. So we don't have time to quite get into it today. I hope to get into tomorrow. I've got some ideas on who they should go get as a closer that would be realistic. That's not like Craig Kimbrell, $15 million a year that they're not going to pay. I've got some realistic closers that they could possibly go get, even if it was to just build a 2 to 3 headed late inning bullpen and you just kind of play the matchups. I'm fine with that as well. You like having the alpha dog as the closer, like we had with Melanson, but if you can't pull that off, that's okay. There's a trade partner that I think is very realistic for Atlanta. We're out of time. I think he can be gotten for a team that's not going anywhere. and Atlanta's made trades with this team before, so they've got a good rapport with them. We'll get into that tomorrow. Go Braves. Come on, Smiley. We need a quality start. We need a W. I did like the fact that the Atlanta offense is waking up. They're starting to do the things you're supposed to do. In other words, don't hit into the shift. Make sure you move the runners over, et cetera, et cetera. Heredia is doing an incredible job. And one last thought on last night's game, I would not have set him up to bunt when they did. I just wouldn't have. You can tell by Heredia, he's not much of a bunter, and they were forcing the issue on that. First and second, nobody out. We basically batted ourselves out of that, or strategized ourselves out of a rally. All right, we will see you mañana. Go Braves, and hopefully this is the beginning of a long winning streak.
You're in Braves country.